Hikaru, you skipped last year's American Cup, and technically, maybe in your opinion as well, you are the defending champion from 2023. Now, that was an incredible match against Wesley So in the grand finals. How are you seeing this championship unfold?
Yeah, so I think for me, it's somewhat unpredictable. I haven't played a lot of classical chess recently. I know I did win 2 years ago, but a lot can change. And I think if I look at the field here, nothing against Wesley, but I actually think that the quality of his play has gone down quite a bit in the last 2 years relative to, say, Fabiano, very specifically, where I think his level has probably remained the same or maybe gotten a little bit better in a sense. So I think a lot has changed in 2 years. That being said, I think that I have as good a chance as anybody does. Ultimately, I think it's going to come down to a lot of critical moments and the decisions that I make. There are probably moments where I need to be more conservative, moments where I need to take chances. And I think whether I make the right decisions in those moments is going to play a big role in terms of whether I can win this event again.
You've said it quite a few times that your focus is not necessarily on classical as much as it used to be. Does that have an rejuvenating effect to your chess? Do you feel that way?
Yeah, I mean, I think certainly you have to find the motivation. And if I'm being frank, I think probably with the exception of maybe Mishra here, I guess Ray's sort of in no man's land in a way. But when I look at myself, Fabiano, Wesley, Levon, and Lenier specifically, all of us have played in or tried to qualify for the Canada's tournament multiple times. And I think that when you just play classical over and over again, it's very, very difficult. I would actually say I'm quite curious to see how Fabiano does this year, simply because he's in this very weird situation where he's already qualified for the Canada. So in a sense, there's almost nothing for him to play for. So I'm really excited to see what sort of openings things he does. But then back to the main point, when you're just playing all these classical terms, you sort of lose the motivation, you lose the excitement. Of course, you end up preparing the same openings over and over again. And I think the fact that I don't play that frequently, it makes the game feel a lot fresher than it would if I were playing in the Grand Chess Tour, for example. So I think because of that, it has helped my chess quite a bit. And I think I have a much better approach for that reason. But still, it is good to play here or there. And I've said this a few times already, but probably my schedule in terms of whether I try to qualify for the Canada seriously or just play the World Cup, probably a lot of that will hinge on how I perform in this event.
Now, you're playing against Mishra, a newcomer to the competition in round 1. You're obviously bringing an incredible baggage of experience. Mishra is bringing the youth and the enthusiasm, let's say. How are you going to leverage that experience to take the best out of Mishra?
Yeah, so I think playing against Mishra, it'll be quite different. He's one of the juniors who's been on the rise for a while now. He became, I believe, the youngest grandmaster in the world about 4 years ago. So he's someone who I've seen play. I've seen him play from afar. I saw his performance in the US Championship. He had a couple of very nice games. I remember the win against Sam Shanklin specifically. So it'll be interesting. I think that certainly experience should play a role. Also, this is a little bit of a different format versus the US Championship where you just play everybody one time. Here it's a match format. So I think my chances are very good. But also I've been around for a long time. And I think when you've been around for a long time, in some ways it's more fun playing against people like Mishra or the juniors versus say a Fabiano or Levon, who I suspect against both of them, I probably played at least between all the formats 200 games at least, maybe even 250. And so sometimes in a way it's quite a challenge, and it's really exciting to do. So I'm just looking forward to playing against him. I think that there's certain weaknesses and strengths that he has, and hopefully I can exploit them in our match.
Obviously, you're known as a speed demon. You're extremely high ranked in Rapid and Blitz, but your classical has not been very shabby either in the last couple of years. In this competition, which one do you feel is your strongest suit?
For me, as I look at it, I think classical is probably where I should be best objectively. It's very hard to know when you look at someone's career where the peaks are. When they're in decline, it's very tough to judge. But the one thing that I would say, just for myself, having seen a lot of players, and I'll give like two examples. Not they're necessarily, at least one's playing here, so I wouldn't necessarily go as far as to say they're necessarily over the hill. But I look at like Gada Kamsky, and when I played him in, I think it was 2013 or 2014. He was around 2760. He was, I think, around top 5, top 6 in the world. And within 6 months, he was down around like 2720 and very quickly sort of fell off. And Lenier Dominguez around that same time was also, I think, around 2670, 2760, 2770. And then he kind of sort of ended up down around 2750 in that range, and he's never really come back from there. So You can kind of, I think, fall very suddenly and for no apparent reason. And so for myself, I think that when I look at my classical, it's been very, very solid. I think my rapid and blitz, at least in recent times, have not been very good. When I look at the Champion Showdown, I think I was winning every blitz game, and I know I won against Levon in one of them, but I had cleanly winning positions in every game, and I only won 1 out of 3. So my conversion rate wasn't good there. Rapid, I thought, was okay. So I think for me, the big thing is going to be to go after in classical. I don't think I'll be making quick draws.
And it's quite interesting that you mentioned the cycles that players go through. You yourself went through one of them, dropped from 2800, 2730, now you're back to 2800. What did you do at that point when you felt that decline?
Well, I mean, I think the pandemic saved my chess career. I don't think there's any other way of putting it, really. I think that chess is a very psychological game. It's very mental. One thing that I try to do, obviously people know I'm very active on social media, is sort of talk about the chess career, how that goes, traveling a lot, struggling to make ends meet. It's very difficult. And I think that when you have all these sorts of things on your mind, you have this baggage, it's very difficult to play optimal chess. And so for me, with the pandemic happening, finding success in streaming, that really changed everything for me. And I think I was able to enjoy the game. And I think a lot of the players near the top, they don't enjoy the game. Even Magnus, for example, I strongly suspect he doesn't enjoy the game that he did maybe 10 years ago even, and finding the positivity, finding the joy in the game is really critical, almost in a way more than the actual level of play, because I don't necessarily think I'm a better player than I was in 2015 when I crossed 2800 the first time, but the results are better. And so I think for me, it was more psychological than anything in terms of getting back. But I think without the pandemic, without everything that happened with the total chess boom during the pandemic, I suspect I would have been retired by like 2021 or 2022 and long gone by now.
Great story, Hikaru. Thank you very much, and good luck in the rest of your games.
Thank you.